Hey guys, Cookie here with Swanee Plays Games. There has been a surprise patch drop early this morning, and I'm on it, and I'm ready to give you guys all the details of this new patch. So far, I've only skimmed over it, so I will basically be giving my live reaction to it as I read it, because I just saw the news a minute or so ago and started recording. So yeah, let's see what this patch is all about. So first off, this patch is 1.000.102. Today's patch is dealing with the spawn rate of heavily armored Terminid enemies as well as the possible play against them. It also contains some fixes to UI elements and crash fixes. So this, I'm guessing this is going to be basically a direct response to all the hate that kind of came out of the last patch. I don't know if they will re-up things like the railgun, but it definitely sounds like they're at least responding to spawn complaints about Terminid enemies, at least specifically. Doesn't say anything about automaton in the overview. We'll see if that comes up or not, but they did say pretty much right after the last patch released that they would be doing something to fix, some of the overexposure to enemies that a lot of players were having. So it says balancing enemies. First thing, the amount of heavily armored targets that spawn on higher difficulties, especially for Terminids, have been a big discussion point online and internally. The intent is for groups to have to bring some form of anti-tank capability, but not to the degree previously needed. Okay, so I think this is a direct response to some of the pictures from a video we did last week that showed like 6 Bile Titans at the same time, or like 5 Chargers and 6 Bile Titans at the same time. Sounds like this is directly a response to those kinds of posts. It says especially for Terminids, so it doesn't say that it's for automatons, but automatons definitely have this problem too. So it's interesting that it was specifically targeting Terminids, but I am pretty sure you could have this problem with automatons as well. So it will, I'm sure it probably affects that to some extent. Next says, to that end, we have reduced the spawn rate of Chargers and Bile Titans on difficulty 7 and up. In addition, we have reduced the risk of spawn spikes of Chargers and Bile Titans. So kind of a continuation of the last point, and more or less basically what I was alluding to with my short little analysis there. It says, please note that we have changed the distribution of enemy types, not reduced difficulty. Expect other enemy types to appear in greater numbers instead. Okay, so basically you're not going to get like 5 Bile Titans at the same time with 5 Chargers, but you might get a billion of the tinier bugs instead, which I think is kind of fair. I kind of like that they aren't completely, nerfing the whole thing. They're just changing it, because I think in general I would much rather go up against like an avalanche of the little bugs as opposed to 5 Bile Titans, because frankly at the end of those matches, even with the 5 Bile Titans, I think there's already kind of an avalanche of bugs. So I am kind of curious how much worse the smaller bugs are going to be in this situation. That actually might be pretty crazy to watch. We are humbled by the community's ability to find things like Charger's leg meta in our game. However, spending your heavy anti-tank weapons on legs instead of the obvious weak points seems counter to expectation. It's a very interesting patch notes, because that bullet point isn't a patch at all. That has nothing to do with anything that they're fixing, which is a bit of a weird little bullet point there. That almost sounds more like just a, get off our back kind of bullet point. I don't think I've ever seen something like that in an official patch, so that's interesting. The next thing says, we are not changing anything regarding the Charger's legs. We are, however, lowering the health of the Charger's head. It should now be at a point where a well-placed shot from a recoilless rifle or EAT-17 instantly kills a Charger. Okay, well that would be something, because those Chargers usually don't die even to those things with a direct headshot. I didn't even know you could hurt a Charger in the head, honestly. It was deflect so many things when it got hit there. I didn't even think you could hurt a Charger in that position. So there's a point, but definitely not wanting to change anything about the legs. So for whatever reason, they are very much not wanting to mess with the legs. Sounds like they don't want you to be going for their legs anyway. They made that pretty clear here so far in this patch. The last thing under the bullet points for balancing enemies says, together with the unfortunately undocumented change of last patch, that increased the armor penetration ability of less well-placed shots for EAT-17s and recoilless rifle shots. Charges should now be easier to handle by well-equipped groups. Okay, so that's basically a continuation of the last bullet point. Next, it says gameplay. There's only one thing under here, and it's for electric countermeasures operation modifier, which had a chance of giving you a random stratagem instead of the one you input. Has been removed in order to be reworked and will be reintroduced in a future iteration. We found that this modifier wasn't communicated clearly enough and overall caused more frustration than excitement with the way it was currently implemented. This change was made in 1.000.100 but was unintentionally omitted from the patch notes. Okay, well that's very interesting because this is something you probably noticed if you played Helldivers 2. I believe what this is referring to is when you would throw down a stratagem and it would give you a stratagem you did not ask for, which obviously could cause major problems if you're trying to just simply bring in a supply pack and you drop a nuke on yourself. That's a pretty big deal. It's especially weird that they didn't even communicate this, because when it was happening to me, I just assumed it was a glitch, and I think a lot of people probably did until it kept happening over and over again. It's an interesting idea, but the fact that it's not communicated really at all and you really have no idea that that's going to happen is kind of a mistake, and I think that's what they're referring to here. So they're going to get rid of it for now, but we may see it later. If that's well communicated, that could be an interesting little twist, and people would have to be way more careful with the stratagems that they pick. But yeah, I'd say for now that was kind of a mistake and did not work out, so kind of glad that they decided to get rid of that for now. And a couple small fixes here. They fixed the missing text on several HUD and UI elements, several subtitle VO mismatches in the news videos, and various crashes that occurred mid-gameplay and when deploying to missions, so a couple of quick fixes there. And then they go into their known issues like they usually do in patch notes, which include the game crashing when attempting to use a stim while inside an exosuit. So this is a new one specifically because of exosuits. Didn't know that was a thing. Pink artifacts may appear in the sky when setting off large explosions. Okay. Automaton dropship seemingly disappears and slides in after being shot down. Shots from arc-based weapons may not count towards kills in post-mission stats. Players cannot unfriend other players befriended via friend code. Cross-platform friend invites might not show up in the friend request tab. I do think I've seen that problem before. Players may be unable to select loadout or return to ship when joining a multiplayer game session via PS5 activity card. The exosuit can destroy itself with rockets if it fires while turning. I do believe I have had that happen. I actually did not think that was a glitch. I just figured that was how it worked. And then text chat box display is obstructed by the cinematic letterboxing during extraction. It's interesting though, from the last patch, I don't think any of these known issues were on the last patch, so these are all like kind of brand new issues that the game is having. Okay, so that is the entirety of the patch notes. In unusual patch notes, in general, not a lot happened with these patch notes, but some pretty big things did happen. I mean, they are directly responding to a lot of the hate that's been coming from the last patch, but they didn't really fix anything from the last patch. And by fix, I mean fix the things that people thought were broken from the last patch, like the nerf to the breaker, the nerf to the railgun. They didn't do any of that stuff. They basically just, fixed some of the issues with the Terminids over spawning and making things really difficult, which is in direct response to a lot of Reddit posts and stuff. But I do find it interesting they did not specifically change anything from the last patch that angered a lot of people. They just changed other elements of things to maybe make the changes they made from the last patch be more equitable for people. I don't know. And like I said, they sound a little combative in part of these patch notes, which is a little bit of an odd way to approach things, especially with a patch notes that is usually just very, very mundane and boring and data based, not really trying to put any personality in your patch notes typically. So okay, we'll see how this goes over with the community. I am curious how they will respond. I think they'll be happy that the Terminid Bile Titans are not going to spawn as much as before, but I don't know how they're going to feel about the fact that they seem pretty adamant that they don't want to change the things that they just changed in the last patch. So it'll be interesting. I'm very curious how the community reacts to this. They definitely responded to them. So we'll see where things go from here. And the electronic countermeasures thing is also a really big deal. So that's it. That's the patch notes. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope you guys are informed and got everything you needed to get out of it. If you like this video, please let us know. Smash the like button. Let us know in the comments what you guys think about this little strategy that they're going with here, and if you think these fixes are a big deal or not. And subscribe to us if you have not already. Hit the bell for notifications for more Helldivers news. We should have a lot of videos coming out, and we will talk to you guys in the next video. Bye for now.